My loves, my friends, and new loves and new friends. Welcome. We're trying a new sound bit today, so hopefully this works. Um, and welcome. Happy New Moon. Happy New Moon with quite a bit to explore and that wants to be heard. It is, I think it's debatable whether or not it's a new moon in Pisces. I think it very much starts or maybe peaks in Aquarius and then it sort of jumps or takes a leap of faith into Pisces, a leap off the deep end perhaps, and that can be either a very faith having thing or not. Off the deep end, however that may appear or look. Sun, Moon, and Mercury is in Pisces. Pisces being, Mercury being in Pisces is very interesting. That moves more like maybe lava than Mercury, but I think the oppositions of where these are also, though there are no planets in it, have a lot to suggest about identity and accessibility and gathering and sharing or storing. This Mars in Cancer seems to be flailing on one part. I think perhaps there is always a very positive aspect to it. But my first indulgence in it is that this Mars in Cancer is kind of flailing, and desperate to project influence. I think in ways we're seeing that publicly is the witch hunts and religions and their talkings of fear and warnings. I saw something about statistically like right-wing groups are lesser, but so they're getting louder because they've got a lot to prove and they're afraid. And when you're afraid, you get louder. Contrary to social belief that the loudest one gets heard, often that's the one that's the most afraid, or the guy that thumps his chest into a situation is perhaps the one with the most doubt, and the most to prove. So be wary of those things. Don't fall into that category. You have nothing to prove to anybody but yourself. In a sink or swim moment, perhaps the first thing you have to do is float. And that is perhaps where Mercury or where Mars is struggling, and therefore projecting. It is very much a misdirection and a diversion. I think that suggests a lot or speaks a lot to collective leadership ideals, and the ways in which our leaders move, deliberately or with haste. I think the ones with the most to prove and the least leadership qualities often make bold moves without really considering. And I think it's definitely underestimated what small steps can really do for a revolution or revolutionary thought or idea and its movement and momentum forward. Allow yourself to be shocked and surprised and impressed by the amassing of little things to you. Ooh, I got distracted. Let's see. A lot of this energy also leans toward this Aries Chiron, Venus North Node, definitely with some Mercury energy in there, even if not definitively behind a line. And so I think that has a lot to do with repression, with shadows, with secrets, with that which we hide, even in a small sense, the ways we you sweep things under the rug, the way we, have a laundry chair, or, throw those things into the closet when, somebody has to come over. Um, the ways in which we ignore and pretend it's okay, even. Um, and that is very much why Mars in Cancer is flailing as well, because it is influenced by this energy. It's almost like they don't want like redacted things. Like you don't want somebody to know something. You don't want something to be investigated. Um, and not necessarily you, but some influence of information, some point of information that may not be had but can be, or is being obfuscated in some way. Handle it with patience and handle it with integrity. Trust that you are capable of gathering the information that you feel is being withheld. um, and that can apply in many things, actually, come to think about it. Um, there's definitely some heavy emotional aspects. I think the water energies are waves crashing to try to sort of like take under. Um, and again, kind of like whisk away. It's not bad to send things to the bottom of the ocean. You send broken energy, broken consecrated energy, or withering energies to the bottom of the ocean, as sort of a sacred burial and going to the water. But I get the feeling that we're not moving those things. So the current is more like sludge, more like oil, um, and more like molasses and moving. Uh, and I'm sure that will also be assisted by this bipolar weather, um, in instigating feelings of needing to go out and enjoy the sun, and then it's much colder than you thought when the sun goes down, and the ways that can kind of shock your body into wanting to withdraw. Um, don't don't underestimate those feelings, and also don't hold yourself to punishment for those feelings. Um, Not to blame the cycles of the earth, uh, but nobody needs to have their fingers, nobody needs to have fingers pointed and to take accountability, um, to be able to just take responsibility and pivot rather than be reactionary to the thing, and base all of your momentum there for like from that point on only the thing preceding it, um, because that can lead to a really bad day. Um, I think themes of this moon will also be how you speak to reality, how you speak to yourself, and how that projects your voice to community, to gathering of information, to concept of sharing. Um, I think we are seeing in a very macro sense resources be withheld, and also us having to pivot and find those resources elsewhere. So this is very much that energy, but it's weaving through many a thing. So it is not just in that macroscopic sense. Allow yourself to take a step back and see every situation for what it is and how these things reflect um, what you present to your collective. And I think that ultimately comes with this idea of your own source integrity or knowledge. What do you have to offer? Uh, and what does that look like? What is the value in that in a capitalist world? Please don't look at it through that lens specifically. Um, but what does that look like? And when information or resources are withheld, what then is a source of resource? I think we can see this again macroscopically in the way that the government is stepping further into mineral mining, um, and the ways in which, gold standard has its issues and Bitcoin has its issues. These tangible ideas of physical wealth, ultimately, are feeble foundations. So the government always pivots to find a new resource. It's land, it's food, it's people, and labor, and now it's minerals and resources, or minerals as a resource, and it's not a, and it's destroying destroying and destabilizing quite a bit. Um, but that very much also reflects in you, your stable structure, your crystalline structure, um, the grid in which you exist on, all of these qualities of minerals. How do you react, or how do you respond to light and sound? How do you respond to growth? How do you create slightly unlike yourself so that it is also a living quality? For as much as people want to shit on crystal witches, um, do not get above your or beyond your britches in underestimating the power of natural elements and their very aligned and integral natural structure. Um, I think even etymologically, the idea of source information or source energy in ancestral languages will suggest more qualities of earth or dirt or mineral, um, and consider the very literal qualities of that, but also what those things mean to you on a metaphysical level, and how they influence the way that you move. Uh, because you are your source energy, and in the face of uh, accessibility being withdrawn, you have to remind yourself to shine brighter, to reach further. Um, in the same way, any lighthouse permeates vast darkness, regardless of distance. What a reassuring thing! What a reassuring thing! And so we are here to pull some cards. Thank you for joining me. We're here to pull some cards before the night falls upon us, and we get to enjoy the vibrations of the moon as they move forth and through us. So much like we are here together hanging out and you're nice and comfy, we're going to make our body very available to the growth that we're searching for. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together to tune in to the wild ride that the moon has us preparing for. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Um, I want to clarify because I get the feeling that some people are like, "Well, I don't want to open myself to it." Um, if you consider the calendar, the Gregorian calendar and its misalignments, I do think that simply taking these breaths helps us to align to the natural fluctuations of the Earth, to moon and its lunar cycles, to wave spells, and these sort of natural oscillations. Um, do with that what you want, but I promise you, it's not like opening yourself up to a gajillion other things. Unless you want that, in which case, the more you think about it, the more you're gonna get it. But I don't think that's where we're going, right? I also felt that in other ways, similar to this concept of not sink, swim, but find a float, almost like resistance to that. Almost like though I had this sensation of buoyancy, like underneath my feet and stuff, there was also this feeling of like, because I have to push it away, because I'm going against it. Um, Even in like yoga practice, I don't like to think about pushing away the floor because the floor is my friend. Um, but we'll see where that goes. Ah, there, that's where that goes. Of course, of course. Wonderful. Of course, where that goes. First card, Five of Wands. That's very much restriction. That's very much boundaries. That's rules. That's regulations. That's impediments. Monkey wrenches in the plan, etc., etc. However, I want us to remember with the Five of Wands, a lot of that is also the ways in which that we restrict ourselves. That's not to say that you can control everything, and that it's because of your control that somebody else did something else, and it thwarted. That is to say that if you lean into your creativity, if you lean into the adventure, um, then it becomes exactly that. Kind of like Dora the Explorer. They go have this path, but something happens along the way, and so the path, they find a way to get through it. They find a way to get around it, and they continue on. Perhaps that changes the linear quality, but it never changes the trajectory. Um, and that it can feel really detrimental, but if you remember that, it doesn't change the end goal, it doesn't change the end result, um, other than for the better, unless you give up. Then that very much halts that entire path and adventure entirely. Um, I do think, okay, there's also Ten of Swords, Queen of Cups, Knight of Wands, all very intense cards, all very wild emotional energies. I want to say kind of unhinged. What did I say earlier? Um, Not a leap of faith, but a off the deep end. Off the deep end. That's what I said. Um, and this is not foreboding. This is what occurs if you ignore yourself. This is what occurs if you give up on yourself. This is what occurs if you fail to believe in yourself and exactly that, jump off the deep end rather than have faith in yourself, or trust in a decision, whatever that may be. Uh, I said something earlier too about all of these like Aries, Chiron energies, all of the planets in that house, all of the shenanigans in that area. And these are very much that as well. I think this is what this is the building. This is proof of the building if things are to go ignored for much longer. Whether that be putting off writing your memoir, or putting off seeing a therapist, or putting off whatever it is, um, putting off recalling childhood trauma, or like moving through it. Oh God. It is very emotional. I think ultimately it influences your creativity. So consider it that way. If something seems scary, allow your perspective to shift and see not for the silver lining or the bright sides or what have you. Um, but look at it like a problem solver, which gives you multiple other aspects of it to play with. Um, kind of deconstruct and make something else with, or what have you. Look at it like a little Lego castle, and you get to pick it apart and build something new. or just understand how it fundamentally works. But we cannot betray our heart any longer. It will continue to uh, continue to let us know that that is not where we want to be, whether it be in stuck emotions or like blood clots, or like arthritis even, um but like blockages and stagnations in particular articulations, um and that's also led with this Queen of Cups and this Fire of Wands, because if it does not show in your body forth like right away, it shows in the ways that you move. It shows in creative blockages. It shows in lack of motivation. It shows in irritation. It shows in your impatience, your reactability. People with short fuses because they're just so fed up with everything else that they take it out on everybody else, um, because they failed to maybe make a big decision that will change their lives, or make a decision that is scary but is the just happier decision, um, or the more rewarding decision. It's very much the ways in which we hold ourselves back. This Five of Wands card also has, let me see that well, also has this person with them, right? And I think, though, we often have heard, uh, I do this opposite thing because I love you, or I do this opposite thing because I want to protect you, or uh, you know, this over rigidity in parenting or micromanaging, or uh, trauma bonding closeness, even on like codependency, uh, is also very much this Five of Wands and its hindrance. But that's also the ways in which we have this like uh, tumor or attachment, or entity attachment, um, which also manifests as tumors. But the ways in which we carry our baggage, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what have you, the ways in which we uh, nurture our baggage, even, and carry it around like a crazy little Frankenstein baby that we've just sewn together with all of the things that we're most, ashamed of, or hurt about, or heartbroken of. Um, and we ought not get caught into that. In that, even in that metaphor, we can't kill the baby. We can't. I mean, I would hope, I guess, theoretically, that you wouldn't want to murder your Antichrist child. Um, Funny how that is very much the theme of a lot of horror movies, though. Uh, it's understanding uh, what it is that entity or creature or side of yourself or younger version of yourself, or however it is you want to look at it, um, requires your nurturing. Perhaps a good metaphor too is the ways in which some people really like indulge in their stuffed animals. If your baggage and your burdens was a stuffed animal that you carried around with you everywhere like a child, then how would you treat it? And again, going back to this Frankenstein baby, Antichrist baby thing, the ways in which we're sort of conditioned or told to treat it by horror movies and their religious dogmatic themes and what have you, and social zeitgeist and fears, is to kill it, is to murder the Antichrist baby. You have to kill Damien before the clock strikes midnight or whatever. And in reality, that is what ultimately leads to more evil, or like even in the plot lines there, that's ultimately what like opens the gates, right? It's in the same vein how you would as a child carry around and love and nurture your favorite stuffed animal, how they've been able to endure life with us, and in those ways the compassion there is immortal, and so that's something that is a very bold breath of hope to allow to fill the lungs of whatever stress and anxieties uh, is weighing on the chest and the solar plexus and the shoulders at this moment. Um, da 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 da. Or like gremlin mode, like gremlin things, the ways in which we deal with the gremlins of us, the gremlin versions of ourselves. I think that also lends itself to the ways in which people betray their emotions, and project for attention, and also often hide from the reality of their emotions. Um, Not to say like comedians or often say they're very funny because they've been through so much. Um, that's not a bad thing that they've made a positive coping mechanism out of it. But we all know that one person that does things for shock and awe to overcompensate for their own sense of lack. Um, and that's very much this vein, rather than, honestly, I think making a life and a presence out of it, in a positive and healing way, is the epitome of being able to alchemize those things and transform that reality. And that's what we want to look toward, the ways in which we can transform the structures of our reality, because uh, too often are we forced into a cage. Let's see what the boundaries of this cage may be. I mm, all right. To add to the structure, we take 3 deep breaths, much like we are here and hanging out. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. On misuse of vital resources, misuse of vital energy. On Again, can be macroscopic, but on a microscopic perspective, the ways in which the anxiety the ways in which our anxiety and our mental state influence our breath, is paramount. I can feel all of this, like, but I need to do this kind of energy, or on one hand, it's like all of these things I need to do on this to-do list, and on another hand, it's like all of these ideas abounding, right? And that's just in the collective. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's trying to get rich, or trying to start a revolution, or trying to start a collective, or trying to start uh, some new idea and endeavor to uh, help, again, this collective perception thrive in some way, shape, or form, or to present to the collective this more formed idea of self. But we don't even understand ourselves formlessly, so and that is why it gets trapped in the chest, it gets trapped as anxiety, it gets trapped in the gut as digestion, because the mind and the heart aren't sure what the fuck the body is doing, because too often are they in separate worlds and in separate places. And that, I think, is in a lot of ways a symptom of the structures that we've been brought up in, be it academic or religious or what have you. The ways in which they've structured have been designed to maintain our separateness in like different jars. And that's not just classism and racism. That is very much your separate self as well. Your left brain, your right brain, your heart and your gut, your mind and your body, your sense of self, your masculinity and your femininity. 100%. They got you in a jar as a specimen. I don't like it, but we do not have to be there. Um, when you again find in alignment and camaraderie and communication with your breath, and therefore its influence on your vital energy, then whatever jar they've got you in, you can break against. Like how singers can break glasses, um, with at just the right frequency or however it is that they do it. That is what we have to do to these boundaries and restrictions, and that does not come with force. That does not come with like forcing it and wishing it and willing it. That comes with becoming it, which is what Mars and Cancer wants us to understand, but because it's understood the way that it is because of other guys and jackass have come out to say that like they just like the attention. But the silliness and the goofiness and the moving boldly and moving fearlessly. This Jack of Hearts is very much the the party on yes and character, but not in a reckless way, in a fearless way, in a like why not, in a I'm not going to hold myself back from this experience kind of way. Um, and that has more to do with personal experience than anybody else. I feel like people too often use exactly that phrase to justify their behavior with other people, and that is not, nah, no, nah, we're cutting that. It is about your experience and your experience only. So if other people are, you go to see your favorite band and the people standing in line with you fucking suck, uh, because they're just, I don't know, pissing contest about songs or something. The Jack of Hearts would not let that ruin their experience. The Jack of Hearts would not let that change the reasons that they're there, and their love and adoration for what brought them there in the first place. There's a very pure vision there. The Jack of Hearts is very much a pure vision, and it's kind of the same ways in even childlike mentality. They take boredom as an opportunity to find something new rather than what seems to be more prevalent in adulthood, taking boredom as a reason to be angry and I don't know, stagnant and uninspired, um, and angry at the world or angry at the present even. which is maybe why we have such a problematic relationship with the past and with the future, because in our failure to address those things or believe in those things, we also kind of shit on the present, and blame the present for it rather than to blame our own responsibility in the present, or take accountability for it, not blame again. And that is very much the way in society is constructed it, so that we do focus on those things. You know, there's a perpetual anxiety about the past and the future, and the ways in which there's these goalposts or milestones in which to reach, and why and when and how and what have you. Dear hearts don't give a fuck about that. And I think worrying about all of those things is still dishonoring to the present. And so we're kind of hateful to time all around, rather than acknowledging the power that a single moment holds. Again, in being and in leadership, and collective leadership being taken in small steps, but big quakes. I hope all of that makes sense. We have the Jack of Spades, 10 of Spades, Jack of Hearts, 9 of Hearts. These two jacks, we have mind and heart body. That's your intellect and your intuition working well together. That's, again, the vital body, the breath in the body, the energy and the body and the mind working well together. There's patience and there's ease there. Almost like neither of them are in a rush. Neither of them are in detriment because of any one thing. There's very much a radiant presence. The 10 of Spades here is very much this life-giving, love-singing song man. And I think, especially with this Knight of Wands, that is, again, the ways in which we, nurture the stuffed animal, the childhood stuffed animal, versus, kill the Antichrist, or, drown the baby, or whatever they do with the demon babies in movies, because it is a part of you, because it is an aspect of you. Sing a song to it and see what comes out. In the same ways, earthquakes and frequencies or rain will bring out worms and critters from the earth. Perhaps that's kind of the purge that we need, and rather than force your body into a long fast when you've never done it before, or a strict fat diet or what have you, things that are more detrimental than uplifting. What would a love song sound like if you were to make one for yourself? What would you say to those aspects of you if you could be your most compassionate self? What questions would you ask that aspect of you if you were genuinely trying to understand why it is you were that person or did those things, or maybe not you, maybe somebody else? Granted, this does not have to be a physical conversation. You can go into meditation and be able to have this conversation, and come to some kind of closure, on journeying to the heart of hearts, or the heart, or to the sea at the back of our hearts, is very much where we will find alignment and integrity and stillness and honoring of that, of the totality of ourselves. But you gotta shake it up. You gotta pull it out of you. Parasites are a hell of a thing, and it really only spreads. The fear is a hell of a thing, and it will only spread. It's a slick and oil-like substance, and it will stick to anything that you give it. So we have to be diligently loving rather than like a warmonger on a witch hunt. Oof. Rough. Rough house. Rough house. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna have some fun. Beyond good and evil, we go to the circus. And we will find a bit of joy to help carry us through this. Joys of the source, perhaps. Laughter. Perhaps laughter is the most freeing feeling we can intellectually grasp onto right now. So lean into it. Go to the circus. Going to the circus, going to the circus. Bam. Interesting. Five of Wands. Also. Inverted. There's a piñata, there's a party. 4 sticks and a stick on the ground. Ooh, it's a question of participation. It's a question of participation. We are, the Five of Wands is, let's show these two in comparison, right? I love that. The Five of Wands is the structure that it is, but it is also only structured in that way because it has been done that way before. Again, this sort of predictive programming sort of aspect to it. So in this scenario where there's a bunch of kids playing a fucking game, maybe it's a game you don't want to play anymore, in which case you do not pick up that stick. You are not a part of that structure. And that is perhaps a move we're going to have to make in many ways, whether it be social structures or circles, or organizations or what have you, where we're just or mental habits and sort of cyclical ruminations and conversations we have, and our choice to not participate in that cyclical activity any longer, because this is also very much a circle of happening. And a black cat hanging again. What did I say about witch hunts or something like that? This is an opportunity to reprogram the program. Page of Cups stands alone as a beautiful little white ballerina bunny, and with a clever teacup and offering. It looks to be like, yes, she is performing. She's like on a stage or what have you. But it very much also looks to be like curtain call, in which case she's no longer performing. She's just being thanked. She's just being people are just showing gratitude for her performance and for the magic that she was able to display, and the environment she was able to create. And there's a lot of peace and a lot of stillness and a lot of joy in simply being and allowing to soak up that being, rather than feel again like you need to prove yourself or there's a ton to do, and sort of resisting the flow with rigidity and with preconceived notion. Should I look at the book just to see? I guess so. Where is the book? Where is the book? Let's see. Which I'm not a huge proponent of having to read the books. 100%, I think, and it maybe should be more secondary for a lot of people. So that you can more intuitively grow with your cards. However, they were created for a reason, and so I do pay my respects to the writers and their own intuitions. However, it does not. My readings aren't based on their predictive programming. The Five of Wands, a youthful group bounced at a pinata with wooden wands, attempting to break it open to access its contents. A time of childish disputes and competition. Playful aggression. I don't like playful aggression. Rivalries, frustration, waging battles over paper animals. Sounds like money. Conflict over what may not be needed, might not even be known. Interesting. I do think that absolutely lends to, in the face of restriction or obstruction, there's the idea of there's something that you don't want us to know. Like redacted information or obstruction of justice. You're preventing information from being found out. And I do think, fuck the police, but also the ways in which structures or organizations or dogmatic forums sort of prohibit questioning and curiosity is very telling. What is it that they don't want you to know? In structures that are constricting, there's something they don't want you to see, there's something they don't want you to do, there's something that is very much being held back. And so 100%, again, both of these lead into your investigations of that, so that you can unite that deliberate separation, and sort of piece yourself back together because of it. And we've got our page, our beautiful page. Ah, yes, a bunny-eared ballerina gracefully and carefully balances a teacup on their fingertips. A time to marvel, a message to embrace emotions and capture magic. Ah, yes. A person who is sensitive and romantic, creative and imaginative. Sounds like a crier. I'm into that. A daydream believer with a big bright heart and big bright feelings. Ooh, I love that song. How beautiful, and how fun and how calm and how childlike and how obliterating of constricting structures. So make like the ballerina, the little bunny ballerina, and don't play these childish fucking games. I feel like that's a pretty good and fun and adorable little whittle down. And with that, I wish you a happy new moon. I wish you thorough digestion. I wish that even just in a breath, here and now, you're more apt to ride the waves that come with any moon more gracefully. And with that, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for striving to be a better version of yourself with me. I appreciate you. Until next time. Shli, shli, kwa. Squesta. Tani tako